Welcome back to Albert Park for the fifth and final video in the series. In the first four videos, I showed them setting up the Albert Park track leading up to the Grand Prix. And we're now about a week and a half after the Grand Prix. So I'll show you what it looks like now. But I'm right here at turn 4, and it was right here that Oscar Piastri spun on the warm-up lap, the formation lap, and his car spun 180 degrees and hit the barriers here. So there's actually a school behind those barriers. It's very hard to see on TV. And then he went all the way up there. We're about to go in that direction there, where his stricken McLaren was out of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix, and you could hear the sighs and groans of everybody here in attendance. And it was very strange timing, because they actually showed on the big screen Isaac Hadjar hitting the barrier from the prior year, and just trying to see how we can get out here. Looks like they've closed it off. The joys of filming things live. So let's now head over towards turn 5. So this is the school here. So that's the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre, and that is turn 3. But yeah, they were showing Isaac Hadjar, and he, I thought, oh, that's, for a moment I thought someone had hit the barrier again. And then I quickly realized, no, that was from the prior year. And then it showed the McLaren on the grass. So this is where Piastri's McLaren ended up resting here at turn 5. Just there. So now we've got traffic going everywhere. The car actually nearly hit me. They didn't do anything wrong though, they're just going forward. So yeah, it looks pretty weird, right? Because you've got all these cars just parked, and you've got the grandstand and all the fencing. So interestingly, this year they closed the track. They closed the entire precinct for 3 weeks, whereas normally in the past they've only done it for 1. So it's a big change. So you can see, so there's some big athletics carnival going on there. So yeah, you can see just how much this facility gets used. So there's the track, and then there is a big, looks like there's some big event going on. Looks like some athletics event. So, but yeah, this will probably take them about 2 months, I would guess, to clear everything up. It does take them quicker to remove it all than set it up. So we're at the northern side of the track, and we are going in the same direction that the cars go. So a couple of my previous videos, I deliberately went the other way, just to give a different vantage point. And so this is the northeast side of the track, so that's gate 5. So if you were staying in the city in Melbourne when you came to the Grand Prix, you probably came through that gate, and you can just see all of the runoff area that they've cleared. Got rid of all the gravel and the fencing. Another thing that I noticed this year was the sponsorship signs. They've always painted them on, and you can see from last year, there's a real mix of all the different signs. But this year they had like a sort of adhesive sticker, which I hadn't seen before. So I'm not sure why they chose to change it, whether it's easier to apply, or I wouldn't think it's more sustainable because it generates a lot of waste rather than just you know, painting over the previous years. So this is the back straight. So I think we just passed, this is turn 8, and you got the back straight, which is actually a curve, and you can see just how close the lake is, and then there's the golf course. So again, you can see just how much Albert Park is used. And there is actually another school, there's a high school, one of the top female schools in Melbourne. But yeah, that's why I was so surprised that they closed it for 3 weeks, because even the golf course, everything gets closed. See all the fences as they pack them up, and they all get stored off-site in the west side of Melbourne, near Sunshine, and then the following year they bring it all back and reuse it. So that's why you can see all of the mix of signs. So you can see all the seats there getting ready to be packed away. And some of the grandstands obviously still there, and then even all these little stairs, which is for the general public viewing. The mini golf advertisement there is a full-on golf course, and then there's also a mini golf course, which I will show you. So here are the iconic palms on the back straight. I'm going as fast as I can, but I do apologize that this video might be a bit long, so if you like, maybe increase the playback speed of this video so you can see all of the bridge. So there's actually 2 layers. So you actually, in the past, they'd have one bridge with traffic going, like foot traffic going both ways. But this year they had one on top of the other. And back around the main straight, they actually had a massive, like 3-lane bridge. So I think, yeah, so one of the corporate boxes they've completely removed by the looks of it. And then there's a bigger one that we're going to see coming up. So look at that, there's the golf course, there's the track, there's the lake. So this is turn 9 and 10. So we saw quite a few overtakes here, and this is where you would have seen all the videos with the clipping, where the engine was maxing out and was actually reducing by about 50 kilometers an hour. So we saw quite a few overtakes, especially at the start of the race with George Russell and Charles Leclerc. It was quite a spectacle. So yeah, big area. So I actually finished showing this. I was lucky actually, because I filmed this here when they were setting it up, and I said in my videos that they usually close it just a couple of days before the start of the Grand Prix weekend, and yeah, this year they closed it earlier, so I was quite fortunate that I filmed it when I did. So this up here is the yacht club the boating club. What's this car doing? He's in the wrong lane. And it is a permanent building. So where that black car is, they had a big patio actually for all the corporate. So that was another corporate area. It's quite impressive actually to see how much they've removed in such a short period of time. And you can see here the fences. I mean, those fences have probably been there for at least 2 months, maybe even longer. You can see them disassembling this bridge as well. So we're now in the southeast corner of the track. So if you imagine the start finish line is at about 9 o'clock and we're roughly at about 5 o'clock. So this is kind of the corner that makes you start to head towards the straight. So that's all the back part. And lots of cars coming. You can see just how much this road gets used. There's a car behind me as well. There's traffic going everywhere. But look at all the tires. So they've already got rid of all the gravel. So another grandstand there. I think this was new this year. This corporate stand. I don't think they've had that before. Not really a good spot though, to be honest, because it's kind of straight, right? So the cars are going to come through there very quickly. So I'm a bit surprised why they bothered doing that, but anyway. And I actually saw one day. There was a whole bunch of people here with a huge Australian flag. They were practicing for, I think, one of the festivities that they had. So last 3 corners now. There was actually in the F3 race, there was a car that went off just here. And it was cool to see them collect that. And then there was, you can see the last remnants of some of the corporate stands. So this is where Norris and Piastri went off in 2025. So Norris went off when he was first, and then Piastri when he was second. And then Norris was able to get back on the track, but Piastri ended up going wide into this area here. So this is where Norris went out, Piastri went out in 2025. And there's cars coming, so I'm going to get back over here. And then this is the last corner before the straight, which I believe is called turn 13, might be 14. They've actually changed it. After COVID, they made some changes to make the track quicker. So this is where you come on. There's the pit straight and the main grandstand. So you might be wondering, there were some rumors that Australia might host another Grand Prix, given that the Bahrain and Saudi Arabia Grand Prix were cancelled. I mean, technically they've been postponed, but they're already issuing refunds and things, so I think it's unlikely that those races will be postponed to later this year. But this building here is going to be knocked down, the whole thing. So all this was temporary pits, so that's for the F2 and F3. They had the V8s on the other side of that straight of the stands. But yeah, this whole building is going to be knocked down. And a new, I think it's going to cost something like $400 million. Stand is going to be built, which Victoria already has a huge amount of debt, has more than 3 other states combined. And Melbourne's lost the MotoGP, so the motorbikes, to Adelaide. So that's where I actually showed this in the first video. This is where the top 3 would drive in. So this is exactly where the podium was, and that's where the top 3 would be, or were specifically. And then this is the start finish line right here. So yeah, all that is being knocked down and rebuilt. And then honestly, I'm not sure, like this looks temporary, but I heard that they're actually building something permanent, but that definitely looks temporary. And I don't think they've had that in past years either. So that's where Casa Ferrari was, and this is where Audi were as well. So you can see that they're cleaning all that up, and you'll notice the fences here, they actually paint it's like a dark grey or a black, which apparently is better for the viewers and better for TV, but they only do it on the straight. So you'll notice it ends here and then it goes to grey, but you can see a lot more corporate stands. So this is the race down to turn 1. And another interesting thing I noticed is they actually wash out the sponsorship. They don't just let the grass grow out, they actually wash it out. So it's probably a bit hard to see, but it actually says Qatar Airways right here. There's the R. Yeah, it's pretty hard to see, but so that was like a red, well, that color. You can see the branding. Yeah, I'm probably not really high enough to see it properly, but yeah, they wash it all out, which I'm not really sure why they bother doing that. Maybe they think it looks ugly for a public park, but you know, the grass would grow out pretty quick. And then I might actually go back here. So there's not really much more to see there. So that's down to turn 3. So that's where we started. That's where we started. But I'll show you behind the pits, and then I will finish the video. So you can see just how much scaffolding is required and just how much stuff is just lying around. So they've got rid of a lot of the big stands and things for the fans. So the big viewing areas and all the food and drink areas. So Melbourne Walk is, so that's where that big 3-way overpass is. That is a permanent building. That's actually a, look how bad the oval looks. That is actually a permanent sporting field. And you can see all of the heavy machinery here. So yeah, a lot going on. If you come here at a different time of day, there'll just be trucks going everywhere. In fact, you're not even meant to come in here because it's just too dangerous, but it's okay at this time. So yeah, so you can just pass here on the day of the Grand Prix and then all behind the pits. So this is where all the teams are, at the back of the garages. It just looks like a messy industrial estate, doesn't it? But that was the hype, that was the center of the F1 world just a few days ago. So yeah, just lots and lots of stands and tents, and look at all the heavy machinery. And you can just see how dirty it is as well. You know, this is a concrete path, it almost looks like a dirt path. And I noticed they got rid of the pontoon as well. So they didn't use the temporary one with the hexagonal plastic bits, which Yeah, there they are. So that's what they've used in the past to get over the water. But again, this is so that's temporary. Sorry, that's permanent. That brick, and then you're back at the lake. So I'll just go back to the track so you know where we are, and then I will finish the video. But if you have any questions or you want any advice, leave a comment. There's plenty of other, you can see the entry and exit over there. Plenty of other videos that I uploaded leading up to the Grand Prix, and then on the day as well for you to check out. But this is back where Oscar Piastri ran off in 2025, ran wide as you enter the main straight again. So I hope you enjoyed this series, hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.